All right. Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining. This is the Happening Travel Club's next stop to adventure. My name is David. I'm the senior travel planner with the Happening Travel Club. If you've called, you've probably spoken to myself or my colleague Nivid. I'm joined today by Al, who is our very frequent volunteer escort. He is a extremely experienced world traveler, and we're lucky to have him. We are a nonprofit travel club where our trips are exclusive to club members and are intended to be educational or to help you to experience major cultural events and locations. Um, so we will get going on this. During the presentation, I'll be running the technical side. So I've asked Al to join to help go through the itinerary and the details. And then at the end, you'll be able to ask any questions you'd like. Again, I do ask that you stay muted during the presentation. And at the end, you'll be able to unmute to ask questions. So thank you, and go ahead, Al.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, David, for inviting me to talk about this destination. As David said, I volunteer for the nonprofit travel club. Have escorted trips all over the world. For those of you who may have been with me before or don't know, I have been to 148 countries, and I've escorted tours to more than 100 countries. I've been to Southeast Asia many times. All of the destinations that we're talking about today, I have lots of experience in. To give you kind of a firsthand feel of what the destination is like. This itinerary, so I start that in terms of my experience. This presentation is kind of a live conversation between David and I to talk about the destination and the trip. And you're for any others, you're participating in it. And of course, you can ask questions. I'll help you with anything that you might like, or David at the end of the presentation. But principally, most people will watch this on demand on the YouTube page and then on the page that the travel club has for the trip. And thousands of people will watch this video in coming months to talk about the destination in Southeast Asia. So that's what we're doing to kind of give a synopsis of how the trip works and what you do and what you see, et cetera, in terms of helping you prepare. So if you'd like to go ahead and start, David. This itinerary, as you can see, it visits 3 countries in Southeast Asia. This is, once upon a time, this was kind of considered a forbidden destination for Americans. We have a long history of conflict in Vietnam and Cambodia. Thailand has been an ally, supporter of the United States for a long, long time. But Vietnam and Cambodia, as you know, from the 1960s and in the 1970s, a lot of people still have a bit of holdover on the idea of whether whether they should go to Vietnam and Cambodia. There are some people that think it's not safe to go to Vietnam and Cambodia if you're an American citizen. And because of the politics of the nature of the political system in Vietnam and Cambodia, there's concern, and I hear, especially in our age group, people that will be watching this video are in my age group, same age group. I was a teenager at the end of the fall of Saigon, and there's some holdover of people thinking maybe I shouldn't go. And I will just tell you, in all of my experiences to Southeast Asia, especially Vietnam and Cambodia, nothing could be further from the truth. Americans that come to Saigon, Americans that come to Hanoi, Americans, arguably, the greatest conflict was actually in Cambodia with in our conflict in the 1960s and 70s. There is absolutely no issue at all for Americans to come. One of the most popular things for veterans today of that war is to go back to Vietnam and Cambodia. And they're warmly welcomed. There is no issue at all in terms of our veterans going to Vietnam and Cambodia. There is no lingering issues from the conflict. And even with the political system, they're kind of communist light, let's call it. Even with their political system, they absolutely welcome and love to have Americans in country. And the number one reason is, of course, we spend the money to make the experience great in both Vietnam and Cambodia. And of course, Thailand was always a major destination. So you see a departure for November 17th. The Travel Club is getting ready to announce a departure for 2027 and for 2028. So when you're watching this video on demand, you will have seen the new web page and the new trip departures. So what we're talking about today is very similar to what you will see in 2027. If you can't go for Thanksgiving, there's additional departures to come that you'll be able to do. David, next. So it's a 16-day itinerary, $1,399. Very good value in terms of traveling to Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia, like most of the eastern half of Asia, including China for that matter, is a good value. It's more value-oriented than Europe, and the quality of accommodation and the destination travel services in Southeast Asia are very, very good. A lot of people consider and not really knowing enough to come to this conclusion, but lots of us think that this is very third worldish, and it is not. Vietnam, Hanoi, Saigon is a they are very modern capital cities. Lots of dramatic international investment has taken place. And Siem Reap is a little bit different because it's an archaeological site, which I'll talk about in a bit. And of course, Bangkok is one of the most vibrant cities in the world. So this is not a third world destination. That thinking process, you probably want to try to disconnect. It is not true. You will go and you will enjoy the experience and the tourism services that are available in all three countries that you visit. Next. First class hotel accommodations at 3-star are available to you. 4-star has an upgrade where you can upgrade to a 4-star hotel in all of the locations. This itinerary has 4 stays in it, very leisurely paced. It's one of the top things that I like about this tour. Other itineraries, generally people do, especially Vietnam, 2 different ways. One of which is they do what we would think about in Europe as a river cruise. It's not really technically a river cruise, but it's the same concept, kind of concept of a cruise. It's good, but I don't think it's the best. And the reason it's not the best is the places that you want to visit are not readily accessible on a river cruise type of itinerary. You have quite a bit of distance on your daily sightseeing away from where the boat is. So while you get to stay leisurely paced on the small boat, it's not really as good as the sightseeing should be. The other thing that you see frequently on escorted tours in Southeast Asia is a lot of moves. This itinerary is unique because of the number of nights you stay. So you're staying in 4 places. They're the 4 places, if you did nothing else in Southeast Asia, you've seen all of the big highlights on this tour. And the nice thing is you're doing it in a more leisurely paced fashion. 3 nights in Hanoi, which is the capital. Now it was the capital of North Korea. Ho Chi Minh, which is Saigon, in the capital of South Korea, South Vietnam. I'm sorry, I apologize. I said Korea. Then going to Cambodia and Siem Reap. And Siem Reap is important because of the archaeological site, and then to Bangkok for 3 nights. So very leisurely paced in terms of your stay. You have a choice of first class and 3-star, 4-star, and I believe the Travel Club's selection for 2027 and 2028 is going to offer a 5-star choice. So you can be on the lookout for that. You see the hotel accommodations that are included in the stay. And again, this is pretty turnkey because of its escorted nature. All of your transfers are included. They're private transfers. They're arranged just for you. So for example, when you arrive in Hanoi, regardless of your flight time, 24 hours a day, the Travel Club provides a private transfer to your hotel in Hanoi. And then transfers for all of the hotel stays through the trip. And in Bangkok at the end of the trip, on the last day of the trip, regardless of what time your flight is, you have transfers included. The notation of the 4-star upgrades, and I highly recommend that. International standard, the 3 stars are fine. The 4-star is much better, and $249 for the 4-star change stay. Next. Comprehensive sightseeing's included. Of course, some of the big highlights, you want to see Hanoi, you learn about the political history of North Vietnam. It's now just Vietnam because of the surrender of the South and Saigon. So sightseeing is very important in Hanoi. Doing the Bay cruise of Hulong Bay, very famous, especially for American veterans, knowing about Hulong. And you do that as a day cruise. It's a sightseeing cruise vessel that includes food aboard the ship, and it's quite spectacular in its stay. The third big site is Ho Chi Minh, which nobody calls it Ho Chi Minh City. That was a functional name change, really and forever. For us in America and in the West, we will call it Saigon, the historic name of South Korea. Then to Siem Reap, it's pronounced Siem Reap, and that's where the archaeological site is in Cambodia. Think about this site like the Giza Plateau in Egypt and seeing the Great Pyramids. This is comparable to that in Asia, along with Kyoto, the UNESCO World City in Japan, and the Terracotta Warriors in Xi'an in China. Siem Reap is one of the big three. It's considered the golden attractions of Asia. Many would argue that Siem Reap is the most important archaeological site in Asia, and that's included. And then in Thailand, when you're in Bangkok, sightseeing in Bangkok. And so all of these are included in your comprehensive program. Next. First-class transportation's included, depending on the size of the group. It can be a minibus, it can be a full-size bus. All of the transportation in all three countries is very modern, regardless of the size of the group and the travel. Next. Most meals are included. In this itinerary, you have what is considered American breakfast. Now, one of the big issues for food, I think food is interesting in especially Vietnam. Vietnamese cuisine is quite excellent. For your breakfast, however, the breakfast in the hotel standards that you're in are considered Western breakfast. They're not considered Vietnamese or Cambodian breakfast. So they're considered American breakfast. It will be familiar to you. The same in China, the same in Japan. And that is just simply because for breakfast, Western Europeans and Americans and Canadians have an expectation for breakfast, and this tour does that. So American breakfast is included each morning. It's a buffet. It's not table service. It's a buffet. When you're at Hulong Bay doing the cruise in North Vietnam, there's no such thing as a North Vietnam or South Vietnam. I'm doing it as a reference to you from your historical memory. Hulong is in the north of Vietnam. That was principally part of North Vietnam until the end of the war. And you have lunch included. And then you have 4 dinners. And the 4 dinners are a welcome dinner in each location that you're at for your 3-night stay. So you have a welcome dinner in Hanoi, you have a welcome dinner in Saigon, you have a welcome dinner in Siem Reap, and then you have a welcome dinner in Bangkok. You would not want any more meals than that. A lot of people ask me, well, I see escorted tours that have many more meals. And my observation is always, now, again, remember, this is coming from the experience of somebody that's been to 148 countries. I don't want you to plan my meals. I want to go to places that I find interesting and Escort provides recommendation for, etc. There is great food choices in all four of these locations. So you would not want any more than an orientation kind of welcome dinner. That's it. Then you have 2 nights where you can pursue very specific kinds of things. And that could be special dinner shows, which exist, especially in Hanoi and in Bangkok. It could be specialty kinds of food that you might want to do. You might want to, in Hanoi or in Saigon, have dinner in a private home. And that can be done as a sightseeing experience. And they come and pick you up and bring you to a private house, and you have dinner with a family in a private home. It's quite an amazing experience, and you might want to do that. If the travel club planned lots of dinners, you wouldn't have those choices and options for you. So you don't want to be over planned, and this itinerary doesn't do that. Next. One of the unique things that I am really applauding the Happening Travel Club for doing, I'm getting ready to host one. I'm escorting a trip for the travel club to South Africa for safari next August. I'm using this just as an illustration. There are more than 50 people, mostly from the villages, going on African safari. It's unheard of to have a safari group like that. It's quite amazing. The big safari lodge that we're staying at, we have the entire lodge. It's doing a pre-tour to Victoria Falls and to Botswana, and it's doing a post-tour to Madagascar. And in this instance, that trip for African safari, there's 4 escorts going from the Happening Travel Club to Africa for that trip. The socials are a very interesting way to meet the escorts. Like in this instance, you would meet me and other escorts that are escorting. But the most important feature, besides getting information about the trip and hearing details, is to meet the other passengers and the other guests on the trip. So if you're in the Greater Villages area, you are invited and you come to this social. It could be a dinner at one of the country clubs. It could be light snacks in the afternoon. It could just be a meeting room, whatever it might be. And then there are also opportunities for those that are not in the Greater Villages area to participate in different ways. Our first one for Africa, August of 2027, is in 3 weeks, 1 year in advance of the tour. This is a real plum of a feature, in my opinion, because I make sure I take a highlighter and draw attention to you in the ability to get together and meet the other guests that are traveling with you in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. This is a really nice feature. It takes it far beyond what you see from a typical travel agency or tour operator. This is an educational nonprofit experience, and that's what these socials do. I like it very much. It's great for me to be able to meet on a one-on-one basis at one of these socials. You have specific kinds of questions about the trip. You're interested in something. You've read something. Oh, I hear that this is fun. Do you know anything about it? And get the opportunity to talk to the escort and what they know about it and what their recommendations are. This is included. So whether you're going for Thanksgiving this year or 27 or 28, this program is included, and I think it is a tremendous feature. It elevates these kind of trips far beyond what a travel agency or a tour operator does. Next. A reminder, you have to be a member to travel on this trip. All of the trips are private experiences. And the reason why they do that, the travel club had to implement that on January 1st as a private club, is many suppliers that are participating are giving special rates and programs because it's not available to the general public. And as a result, they don't get complaint from other people in the travel industry because it's a private group. It's like Costco or Sam's or BJ's. So that's the same thing here. You have to be a member of the club. The club membership is done annually, so it's you're a member in 2026, and then if you would like, you can continue and you can be a member in 2027. However, if you're a member in 2026, you could book a trip. You could book this Vietnam trip in 27 or 28 and no longer have your membership in 27 or 28. The only thing that is required is for you to have the membership at the time you do the booking. It is a private club experience, not available to the general public. Next. So let's talk about the itinerary. First off, it's a long way. Wait, there's nothing else coming. It's a long way. I just remind you, if you have not, I know over the course of the thousands that watch this video, you've been to Europe. I'm in high certainty, a super high percentage of those that are watching this video right now have been to Europe. This is Europe and a bit more. Basically, you're adding, in general, 3 to 4 hours of flight time to get to Southeast Asia versus Western Europe. So you're in a situation where it is quite an extensive flight. If you're coming, which most travel club members are, they're coming from the East Coast and especially from Florida. One of the notations here is first fly from Los Angeles for your overnight flight. You don't have to. You can fly from Orlando or Miami or Tampa all the way to Hanoi. It is possible. It's a long way. That's the only thing I'm trying to make sure I point out. I find that if you break the flight to Asia, to Southeast Asia especially, and China too, if you break the flight up in Los Angeles, you will probably appreciate that. At least going. More important than the return, although it's still a long way in either direction, but especially going, because jet lag can be quite an issue here. And depending on your connection, I have flown Florida to Detroit, to Beijing, or in various different ways to Hanoi, to Bangkok, various different ways. You can connect from Florida to Southeast Asia, but it's a long flight. Now, some people like that in terms of just getting it out of the way. Some people would prefer to have the connection in Los Angeles. If you overnight in LA, you essentially reduce your travel by 5 hours. And those 5 hours may make a lot of difference in your comfort in going to Vietnam. The other thing that I might suggest to you in watching this video is incorporate other things. It costs virtually no more money as it relates to air to fly other places. I know many of our travel club members do Asia, and they're doing Hong Kong. Or like in this trip, you could fly to Shanghai or Beijing and do a bit of China before or after the trip. Lots of choices. You certainly can do Japan. To Tokyo, or maybe Tokyo, Osaka, and do the day trip to Kyoto. But there's lots of choices for you, and you will find that the airfare is fundamentally not significantly different with the stopovers in Asia. So you should look at that carefully in terms of what other kinds of things you might want to do, because of course you're paying for the services of your hotel and your travel and your meals and sightseeing, etc. But as air is about, is the biggest single expense of the trip. Single expense. You can amortize the cost of your airfare by doing other things, and it's not significantly different. So you overnight from Los Angeles. The other thing that's important here is in your travel days. When you look at the Travel Club's page, it says day 1, fly Los Angeles, overnight to Hanoi. So what that means is, let's say December 1, just as an example, you'll fly December 1 from the United States. You land in Vietnam on December 2. It's the same thing as if you were flying to Europe. So don't get confused in terms of your air bookings. You're overnighting. Your departure date of the trip is your departure date of your air from the United States. And then you're going to arrive the next day. That's how it works. Next. Okay, on day two, as it says, you arrive in Hanoi. Now, Hanoi is the most important, city that you visit on this tour. Not the best, not the most beautiful, but the most important tour, because politically, this is where the war in Southeast Asia was fought from. The politics of Hanoi is really important. 30 years ago, it was impossible for any of us to think, wait, let's go to Hanoi. Impossible, just impossible. Today, nobody even thinks twice about going to Hanoi. So I'm echoing again, there is no issue at all for Americans to go to the capital of Vietnam, Hanoi. None, zero. And then once you get past that, and the ones that, why those that think that that is true is because they're thinking about it in the way it was in the past, not in 2026 or 2027. So you're going to arrive in Hanoi. You will be met. It will have a sign right outside a baggage claim. You have private transfers. If you're flying into Hanoi by yourself, you're going to have a transfer just for you from the Hanoi International Airport to your hotel. It's private. They'll have a sign with your name and Happening Travel Club, and you'll be transferred to the hotel. When you get to your Hanoi hotel, you'll have a 3-night stay. Again, leisurely paced. I'm a big advocate of 3-night stays. For goodness sakes, do at least 2 nights. Whenever possible. This does 3 nights. That's really desirable as you look at this itinerary. The welcome dinner is done. You meet the other guests. Perhaps you haven't been to a social here in Florida, or there's others that haven't been to it. So you're going to meet escort and all of the passengers. That's on day 2. This is fundamentally, just like Europe, a jet lag day. This encourages you to stay up until at least 10 p.m. So you fight jet lag, so you're more refreshed on day 3. This is easier than Europe. And the reason is because you're flying east to west, as opposed for Europe, we start the trip flying from west to east. So as a result, in terms of time change, you're going to arrive very late, generally, very late in the day in Hanoi, and the natural clock of your body and the time that you are in, time zone, and the physical time in Hanoi is so close that you don't have to stay up long to be going to bed at 10 o'clock in the evening. So it's an easier adjustment on jet lag going to Asia than it is to the United States. I'm sorry, to Western Europe. Next. Day 3 is sightseeing. Now, on all of these 4 stays, the pattern of sightseeing and leisure time are balanced exactly the same thing. You have a 3-night stay because the tour itinerary doesn't want to overplan. There are so many choices to do. There is literally so many choices of things to do that you will want to do. You will want to get there and go, oh, I want to do this, or I want to do this. How this tour accounts and accommodates that is the first full day in each location is the sightseeing dedicated to the location you're at. The second full day is at leisure. And the reason it does that is it does the focus of sightseeing in the location that you're at, and then it gives you a day at leisure for other things that you want to do. That's an intentional choice of things that you want to do. There's a couple of minor exceptions to it, which I'll talk about here in a moment, but in general, that's how it works. So on day 3, you're going to have breakfast at the hotel, and then you're doing sightseeing in Hanoi today. On day 4, this is one of the exceptions. A second day of sightseeing is included because Halong Bay is just so important. It is a spectacular site. You've seen it in countless movies. You've seen it in so many James Bond films. James Bond, I think, lives on one of the beaches at Halong Bay. It's where the famous rocks that surround the bay are. It's quite beautiful. It is beautiful. And it's an easy trip. The entrance to the bay is only a little over an hour from central Hanoi, and you do a full day cruise in Hanoi. You can swim for the day. The boats are designed to have good food service, good narrated sightseeing while you're in Halong Bay, and it's just really a wonderful day to experience. And of all of the things in Vietnam, it's one of the must check off to do. And so that's what you do on day 4. Next. On day 5, now you are going to have a day at leisure. And then this gives you lots of choices. I think, as I already indicated, a private home dinner is an excellent choice. And there are many choices of additional sightseeing, both in the capital of Hanoi and outside the capital. And I'm a big advocate in Hanoi to get outside of the capital into a more rural area. There's multiple choices that the escort is going to be able to recommend to you to get outside of the capital, outside of the main city center for sightseeing in Hanoi. Next. On day 6, then, you are transferred. This includes your airfare, and you fly from Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh City. All right. Probably the last time I'm going to say Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh and the famous Ho Chi Minh Trail from the war is Saigon. And so you're going to fly from the north to the south. Convenient flight, modern jets for transfers. This is not done by an American Airlines or a Delta Airlines. These are our national air carriers for Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, have regional and national carriers, and that's what you will fly south to Saigon. You are transferred to the airport to meet your flight, and you're transferred upon arrival in Saigon to your hotel. All of that is completely seamless in what you do. You have a welcome dinner on day 6 in Saigon, and then you overnight. Then next on day 7, again, sightseeing in Saigon. And Saigon is a completely different experience than the capital. Hanoi is old guard Vietnam. Saigon is new guard Vietnam. Now, 50 years of control by the Vietnamese Communist government has changed very little in Saigon. Saigon is the most progressive city in the country, and the most amount of international investment from Western Europe and the United States takes place in Saigon. So those roots of the war of the 1960s and into the early 1970s still exist. And Saigon is a very interesting place because the political heart of South Vietnam was completely distinct than the decision-making in Hanoi in North Vietnam. And you learn all about that in Saigon, and it will feel comfortable. People generally say that Saigon is the closest to its feel of Paris in Asia. And that's what many people think about Saigon. It's a lovely city, and there's so much to see and do. And to be honest with you, the food is outstanding. It's just it is a dining city for Vietnamese food. Day 8 has a second day of sightseeing. Often when it's a smaller group, the travel club uses the hop-on, hop-off tour in Saigon. It is quite good. And the reason I like hop-on, hop-offs when it's a small group is because it gives you a tremendous amount of flexibility. It gets you to all of the major attractions that you want to see and it allows you to get off and do it more. When we have the larger group, we do it as a tour where you have a couple of step offs for pictures, but generally it's the orientation tour. The hop on, hop off is a little different because it does that same orientation tour, but then you can walk away to do something that you're very specifically interested in. It might be the museum district in Saigon. It might be the Vietnamese Memorial and Museum, which is quite interesting. So either way, it does its job. It allows you to see all of the major sites of Saigon in the program. Next. Then on day 9, you have a day at leisure. Interesting picture here because especially the upper left, people don't picture Vietnam like that. Saigon is Ho Chi Minh. Saigon is more modern than the capital in the north. But again, that's because of investment and international money that comes in. And this kind of money that comes in internationally helps spur entertainment and dining and other kinds of tourism services. So generally, people that go to Vietnam say this is their favorite of their visit, and is their visit to Saigon. Now, this ends the visit to Vietnam. There are different ways that you can add other tours. If you're interested in a more comprehensive escorted tour of many of the smaller areas in Vietnam, you can do that. But in general, I will just tell you, I don't think it's necessary. To experience Vietnam, this really does it. So the stay in Saigon and then in Hanoi in the north really checks the boxes in terms of what you would want to see in your week in Vietnam. Then on day 10, you are transferred to the airport and you fly to Cambodia. Now, Cambodia is the real surprise in this itinerary. Cambodia, of the 3 countries, is the least developed. Vietnam, since the war over the last 50 years, has had tremendous progress. They're far better today than they were in the 1970s. Thailand, especially Bangkok, is a world city. Bangkok is a world city. The 25 cities in the world, Bangkok is on that list of the 25 cities of the world. Cambodia is a little different. And Cambodia is a little different because it has had, of the 3 countries, the least amount of international investment. And it's also different because Cambodia has the most interesting of the archaeological sites. They do exist in Thailand, they do exist in Vietnam, but in Cambodia, they're world class. And going to Siem Reap and going to Angkor Wat, which you see in the upper left, this is a active ruin site. And I'm very careful in the way I explain that, in that it's not like going to Ephesus, which is an outdoor museum. When you walk the main street in Ephesus, you're walking in a museum. It's outdoors, but it's still a museum. Siem Reap is not that. Angkor Wat is not that. It is a living, breathing archaeological site, and different and quite spectacular because of it. Sitting in the jungle, quite interesting. When you fly to Siem Reap, you will know this is different than our week that we've spent in Vietnam almost instantly. Smaller, hotels are smaller. You don't see the big giant Marriotts and Hiltons, which you can see in other places in Southeast Asia. It's completely different. So you fly to Siem Reap. It's an easy flight from Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, and you're transferred to your hotel first night dinner in Siem Reap, and that is our day 10. Then the next day, is the sightseeing in Siem Reap and Angkor Wat. And great pictures here, David, by the way. These pictures show you the experience. For people who have not been to Southeast Asia, I've already referenced it once. I'm going to do it again. If you have been to Egypt, this is their Giza Plateau in Cambodia. That picture in the upper left, you're looking at their Great Pyramid. That picture on the right, you're looking at their Sphinx. That's the experience here of Angkor Wat. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Archaeological Site. It is very generally for ticketing. This is far more expensive than going to the Giza Plateau and the Great Pyramid. This is quite, my English friends call it dear. This is quite a dear expense to go to Angkor Wat. It's all included in the tour. You have guided sightseeing at Angkor Wat, but it's quite spectacular. And it's as I said, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And this is the reason you go to Cambodia. The other reason is to go to the beaches, and the Chinese and the Japanese, the Thai, go to Cambodia for their beaches. You're not interested in the beach at all. So this is the reason why you go to Cambodia. And what you want to see is the amount of time that you're staying in Siem Reap. Siem Reap as a city is interesting, very safe. I virtually hear nothing in terms of safety for Western tourists. It's a great place to be. And Angkor Wat is quite outstanding in terms of its archaeological significance, literally sitting in the jungle. And really quite interesting. And I love that preservation is taking place to make sure that people are going to get to see this 100 years from now, which is important here on day 11. Next day. Then you have a day at leisure. Everybody wants to ride the elephant, and it's easy to do. And this is not P.T. Barnum and the Ringling Brothers Circus elephant ride. Elephants are revered, and it is quite an experience to do. It's a vibrant tourism business in Cambodia, and you can do it both in the city, you can do it at Angkor, and you also can do it in the jungles. So lots of different kinds of things that are available to you. Very good National Museum is here in Siem Reap, and lots of things to see and do. I'm personally, this is only a personal preference, you get all of your great dining in Vietnam. I'm not as hep on Cambodian cuisine as I am on Vietnamese, but everybody has a different choice. But there's lots to do, and it's an interesting place to be. On day 13. Now, this itinerary portion has currently changed. I hope it returns, but I want to draw attention to this day. It's not happening this way. It is not happening, and I'm cautious for those who are watching this video on demand. Please please listen to this explanation carefully, because I'm giving you the absolute on-spot understanding of what is going on. And it has nothing to do with you, and it has nothing to do with Americans, and it has nothing to do with your safety of going to this region. There is conflict going on between Cambodia and Thailand. There's various reasons why conflict is going on, none of which we are particularly interested in. It's their issue. But I will tell you that when this itinerary was first planned, I am sad about what is going on, because you would do what is called the elephant journey. And you would cross the jungle from Siem Reap to Bangkok. And the road transportation that crosses the national border is quite interesting because of where you travel. It's not particularly long day, but it's a pretty good journey. And it is an interesting journey to do. But there is skirmish going on, and it's been going. They've had ceasefires and peace negotiations going on now, it seems like for 10 or 11 months. It's been going on since the end of 2025. There is disagreement between Thailand and Cambodia over border and other related disputes. As a result, we do not do this itinerary this way in terms of the land crossing. You must fly from Siem Reap to Bangkok. There's not a safety issue for you. It's just you don't want to travel the road through active conflict. And that's why the Travel Club has made this decision. They've just recently announced it for this Thanksgiving departure. You would fly. And if you're interested in this itinerary, when you respond back to the Travel Club, they give you much more detail than what you want to hear me talk about. But it is a good choice. The moment this conflict is resolved, then the trip would return to this journey, because this is really what you would want to do versus flying. Flying's easy, but it's not what you would want to do. But it is what you have to do for this circumstances that are going on between Cambodia and Thailand. The other thing I just want to echo again is sometimes Americans hear things and they don't really understand or digest the importance of what they're hearing. I'm trying to be as clear as I possibly can. This has no effect on you at all. There is no safety issue at all. There is nothing about this that would prohibit or your desire to experience Cambodia and Thailand. It has nothing to do with you. But the choice to fly between Siem Reap and Bangkok is a convenience issue while this border crossing is closed. And currently, sitting today when I talk from this meeting, you can't even cross the border on this road. And so as a result, that's why you can't do it. Has nothing to do with your safety, etc. Has nothing to do with the effect of whether I would get on a plane and go to Cambodia tomorrow. And so that's what our situation is. On day 13, then, you arrive in Bangkok. You're transferred from the airport to your hotel. Next, on day 14, now, this is the major city on the itinerary. Saigon, Ho Chi Minh, and Hanoi are similar in size to Bangkok, but Bangkok is a whole different thing. In Asia, it's not New York, because Shanghai or Beijing is New York City, but this is Chicago or Los Angeles in Asia. And so it's a very important city. It is a giant city. Memory is, I think, in the comprehensive metro, you're looking at like 18 or 19 million people. Here, this city has everything. Full stop, everything. So great hotels, great restaurants, great sightseeing, great attractions, great services for tourism. It's just really a magnificent place to visit. And this is one of, if there's 100 places in the world that you want to go and see, Bangkok is one of them, in my opinion. And today you do comprehensive sightseeing in Bangkok. There is so much to see and do. It's like, if you go to New York, what are you going to do in 3 days? Well, there's only, you just don't have the time to do everything that you would want to do. And it's the same for Bangkok. So comprehensive sightseeing on this day. Next. Then you have a day at leisure in Bangkok. Because you're not doing the elephant road, perhaps getting out of the capital is something that you would like to do. That is a possibility. The only thing that I would suggest is people that go to Thailand that focus on well, let me reference it to a cruise. If you took a Princess cruise or a Holland America cruise, you would have 8 hours in Bangkok. Now we're all laughing in our head, right? 8 hours in Bangkok. When you take a tour, most of the tours focus just on Thailand, and they're going to Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and Chiang Rai. That is good, except I just don't think it is as necessary, especially in counterbalance with being able to do Siem Reap in Cambodia and North and South Vietnam. So I think this itinerary is superior to that. But you could get outside the capital if you wanted to. The only recommendation is there's so much to see in Bangkok. It's a lot of extra effort that I don't think is necessary because there is so much to see and do. And day 15 is dedicated to the leisure nature of that. Day 16 is your final day, and you're transferred to the airport, and you will fly back to the U.S. And again, I make the note, it makes no difference what you fly, what airline. It makes no difference what time you fly. The travel club is going to transfer you appropriately on the correct times for your transfer for whatever flight that you do. So your departure from the US, remember, is overnight to Vietnam. Your departure from Bangkok back to the United States is same day. So if the trip ends December 1st, just as an illustration, you're landing in the US December 1st. And you can choose anything you want because the travel club is going to provide the transfers for you. The travel club just reminds you, please make sure you update them at least 30 days in advance of what your air schedule is. And they're going to depart from the hotel, transfer you. Even if you're traveling just as one person on that flight, they're going to do a private transfer for you for just you to meet that flight. So no problem. And then the last note that I would make on the itinerary is, again, your choice of Bangkok. You've gone a long, long way. This is a really great itinerary to think about other kinds of things that you might do. The travel club has added one of the examples of going on to Laos. And just briefly on this itinerary, December 2 to 12, 2026, you can continue on to Laos for this very deluxe tour. Good value. On day 1, you fly to the capital, and you stay. Deluxe accommodations are included. This includes 4-star. On day 2, it does the temples and heritage in Laos, comprehensive sightseeing included for Luang, and very famous. Much different than Thailand because this is the smallest, even smaller than Cambodia. Laos is more rural, an agricultural nation. And on day 2, its historical perspective. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, by the way, that you're seeing in the picture in the upper right-hand corner. Then on day 3, you're doing a cruise on the Mekong River, and it's a sightseeing cruise on the famous Mekong. Quite interesting, quite pretty. On day 4, you have a day at leisure in the capital. This is the smallest of the 4 countries. If you continue on to Laos, this is the smallest capital of the 4 countries. And I happen to like that because you've just been in a city that's 18 million people, and the contrast is really quite dramatic compared to Bangkok. On day 5, you're going to take a high-speed train, and you're going to a city that is, the entire city is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Quite beautiful, quite interesting in Laos. And again, deluxe accommodations in your stay. And then next, with your overnight, you have sightseeing included in Vientiane, and this is more rural than the capital, connected by the high-speed train. And then on day 7, you do a second day of sightseeing in the capital. In the city. And again, the entire city is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Laos, and you have more sightseeing on day 7. And then on day 8, You have a day at leisure. Food, again, blips on this trip in Laos. I'm a foodie and traveling all over the world and try to find interesting and unique dining. You will have no trouble on this itinerary, and you have a day at leisure in Laos. And then next, and then on day 9, you fly, you connect back via Bangkok. Now, this does something that I appreciate the travel club doing very much. It is flying from Laos back to Bangkok. It's a relatively short flight. I believe memory serves me, it's about 90 minutes, no more than 2 hours. And then you overnight in Bangkok on the return. It's included in the stay. Now, the reason the travel club does this is connection from Laos to the United States is terrible. You don't want to do that. So you want to go to Bangkok and overnight so your final day is easily connectable from Bangkok back to the United States. And so this is a opportunity for you at $22.99 for the 10 days if you want to extend to Laos, or it helps give you understanding of other kinds of things that you might want to do. And both on a pre and a post standpoint, it's desirable to look at. You could do either before or after this itinerary quite easily. Tokyo, Osaka, which would include Kyoto, the UNESCO World Heritage city in Japan. It could go to China and do Shanghai or Beijing, or it could do Shanghai and Beijing as a pre or post. You could go to Hong Kong and stay easily in Hong Kong before or after this tour. And now you have another example that you see of one that the travel club has actually prepared for you for Laos. And so if you want to go into Southeast Asia, if you want to do more, you certainly can do that. And the significance of the airfare is negligible. So it's adding value to you in terms of your exploration because you're going so far, you're able to do more. In general, reservations, you see the deposit there. That little squiggly thing with the dinosaur in the middle of it, if you put your phone on it, on your photo, it will take you right to the page for this trip. You can do that, or you can go to the page directly at happening.travel Vietnam. If you don't want to write that down, all you have to do is go to the happening.travel page. And at the top, it gives you different kinds of destinations you can select. And select Asia, and you'll see this trip right away. Next. Just a quick note about upcoming meetings that are coming up. The travel club is doing many more of these to kind of help give you a feel of the destination and talking about it. And you see coming up for Panama Canal, Europe Christmas markets, and Africa with the pre to Victoria Falls and the post to Madagascar. So you see that, and the RSVP QR code in the bottom right-hand corner. When you watch this, you can pause this video and just put your camera on it where you would be taking a picture. The little yellow will come up right away. You touch it, and it'll take you directly to the page. Next. So that's our summary. You see November 17th for Thanksgiving, a very good group going from the travel club to Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand for Thanksgiving. And the travel club is just getting ready to announce 2027 and 2028. So it's a fantastic destination, very different than anything that you've experienced in Europe. I've been to China a number of times. I've been to Japan many times. This is different than both. The number one and number two destinations in Asia are China and Japan. This is very different than that. And in my opinion, you should do all three. You shouldn't do just, unless you're going for very specific reasons or explorations, doing Vietnam alone or Cambodia alone or Thailand alone. I just don't, I think it's a long way to go. So this does the best of all of the world's Southeast Asia. Very big plus on this itinerary. Very leisurely paced, which I really like. Okay, well, David, that's a summary, and happy to, if anybody has any specific questions, if you have any questions, happy to help in any way.
Yeah, and if you have a question, you can just click on the red microphone on your screen. That will unmute you, and then you can ask your questions if anybody has any. Um,
Or if you're shy, you can
yeah,
just write
type
it,
it.
type it.
So you will need visas for this. That's a common question. But all three countries, the visas are very easy to apply for online, and they're not very expensive. I think they're $10 to $20 each, but it's an easy process on the internet to get you prepared for the trip. Um, any other any questions or thoughts or
One of the things that I want to mention also is about airfare. The travel club experienced notes with the Vietnamese, Cambodia, Thai airlines. It's very important when you report on your passport information. If you have a middle name on your passport, you have to report it. This is one of the few regions I've ever seen in the world that does their airline check-in based on an exact match to your passport. Now, that's something that normally we never think about. We use our first and last name on passport, but not the middle. I frankly have never flown anywhere in the world using my middle name on my airline ticket. This is one place that does do that, and it's just a hassle to deal with it once you're there if you haven't done that. So it's just a reminder that when you do the passport information, you make sure it's complete. That if your passport has middle name on your passport, many passports don't, but if it does have a middle name, please make sure you report that in your passport information so your air tickets are done correctly, because you have three, you have two included, and then the optional third ticketing that's included for you. So to make sure that the travel club does it correctly.
yeah. And Charlie Phillips, who just joined on YouTube, and anyone who's in the meeting on the Google Meet, you can go on our YouTube if you just search for the Happening Travel Club and watch this video, this meeting in its full as soon as we're done. It'll let you go back and watch it from the beginning. So if you have any other questions or anybody you want to share the video with, you can do it that way. Okay. All right. Anything else? Well, in that case,
Uh,
oh, go ahead.
I have a question.
How can we help you?
I saw the 13.99. Is that for a couple? How much is it for a single?
You know what? Let me pull that up because I don't remember off the top of my head, but I can have that in just a second.
By the way, while David is doing that, I'm so many people that I have traveled with in the villages and other places. I'm very keenly tuned into the needs of singles traveling. I think it's very, very important that we, and I continue to say to the travel club, for us to do everything we possibly can to make single travel possible. It's difficult, especially when you're dealing with a cruise line, but it's important. One thing that I would say to singles traveling, people that are going to, thousands of people that are going to watch this video on demand at YouTube and on the trips page, singles do not need to be concerned about security. Of course, you have general precautionary things that you always do. The travel club will provide very good recommendations as it relates to security. But in general, I'm just saying to you that you do not have to worry about being a single and going to Vietnam and Cambodia and Thailand. It's not a destination that I would say to my mother, for example, Mom, you have to be careful. Um, you have to be aware of your security circumstances at all times when you travel in the world. And by the way, that includes Tampa or Orlando. But at the end of the day, I would say to my mother, no, absolutely. As a single traveler with a group like this, you absolutely can do it. And that's especially true. I'm prompted by saying that for women, single women.
Yep.
No concern here at all.
So the double occupancy rate is $13.99 per person. The single occupancy rate for this one is only $18.99, so it's not significantly higher for single passenger.
No, it's not. Is the 249 for the upgrade on the hotels the same too?
That would be doubled, just because it's the cost of the hotel upgrade is split between two people on the double occupancy.
Okay, so that would be an additional 5 then.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Which still generally is going to put lower than single rates for most tours this part of the
Right,
world.
right, right. No, just curious, yes. Okay.
Any other
Al, I
questions?
have a question.
Go ahead.
Al, I have a question. Where are the welcome dinners held?
Generally, the hotels.
But are they held at the three-star, or 4-star?
In general, when I'm escorting the trip, it's generally where most of the guests are. I just did a trip in Lima for Machu Picchu, for example, and the group was about 40 some passengers, and there was a very small number of 3-star passengers, overwhelmingly 4-star passengers, and the dinner was done at the 4-star. But in general, when there is a split like that, at least my experience in escorting, they're very close to each other. So you have the ability to go from one hotel to the other because they're selecting a 3-star and a 4-star.
Is transportation provided between them for the dinner?
No, it is not.
No, but most parts of the world have Uber or something very similar to it, and it's, like I said, generally we try to get our hotels close to each other. Even ones 3 and 4, walkable whenever possible. I know in Lima they were just the 3 and the 4 were just a couple blocks away from each other, and also we did a trip to Rome not that long ago, and it was a similar case. The 3 and the 4-star were just a couple of blocks away. So they were walkable distance from each other. That being said, for the current trip, the November of this year, I think everyone's in 4-star. I'd have to double check that. So we'd probably be doing the dinners in the 4-star, which may be something to keep in mind if you decide to book.
Okay, my other question is the breakfast then. Each hotel will have a breakfast though.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the breakfast meals, and this is universally true, are administered not on a group level, if that makes sense.
Could you say that again, please?
Breakfast are not administered as a group breakfast. You have breakfast whenever you want, and so it's done on an individual basis at the hotel.
Is the food usually better at the 4-star?
Everything is better at the 4-star.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
That's one of the values of doing the 4-star, but it's
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, David? I can help you
that's
with?
all. If no one has any other questions, thank you all for joining us. We hope
Thank
to see you
you.
on the trip, and we hope to see you on some of our other meetings as we discuss our other upcoming trips. So